What is up, y'all? Welcome back. I am Van, and we are all the LFR family. Now, I'm about to check out Candace Owens. Obviously, y'all saw her in the thumbnail, but I want to just tell y'all this right here. Don't skip, don't skip, don't skip. I want to say this to everyone who support Candace, and to everyone who support DeSantis, and to everyone who support Trump, to everyone who support Ben Shapiro. Listen. Try and understand, well, not try and understand, because I'm sure y'all understand. There might be moves that are being made out there that are trying to cause a bit of infighting, okay? Now, I know that's not what this is. I know that's not what this is, because Candace don't jump into those type of things. But we all sometimes fall into certain traps that we don't believe we're falling into. And I don't want this to be be one of those type of situations. Now, we know how things are a little tight right now, but I know that there was supposed to be a red wave. I know that people have plans to run in the future, and they might see other up and coming stars about to run, and they might feel a certain type of way, because let's keep it a buck, keeping it 100, keeping it real. Let's keep it funky. The fact that Trump was treated highly unfairly when it came to politics, but he decided to play this game, and he know that the game is dirty. All right, so he might be a little upset, might say some things that he don't particularly mean at the moment, but then again, he might very well mean them. All right, but we all know that Candace is not anybody's punching bag, regardless if it's friendly fire or if it's enemy fire. I think her and Trump still have a good relationship. But I'm going to let her tell it, because I heard about this situation. I believe this situation that we're about to talk about here. She said that Trump's upset with her. So we're about to check it out together. All right. But keep in mind, do not fall into the trap, guys. All right. Don't fall into the trap. All right. That's all I'm going to say. I don't care if you're on the left, if you're on the right. Either way, infighting is something that's that people like to see, especially when they're losing. All right, don't give people the satisfaction. So we're about to check this joint out. Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments below. And also, one of my biggest supporters, Angel. Shout out to Angel. She just now lost her son, her oldest son, I believe. And you know, LFR family are hurting with her right now. And turns out that the bill for taking care of all of the arrangements and everything are massive. So I have included in the descriptions a GoFundMe for her family to help out with the expenses. If you can find it in your heart to help her out, cool. If you don't have it, don't do it. Okay. This is only for if you absolutely have it and it's in your heart to help. Okay. All right, so let's go and check this joint out that we're about to check out and see what Candace got to say.
My relationship with Donald Trump, you guys obviously know that I have been one of his most vocal supporters all throughout his presidency. He was a very big piece of my transformation from the left to the right. He's a big piece of my personal story and my personal awakening. And it wasn't Trump the man himself. Rather, it was he severed my belief in the mainstream media because they were not honest in their assessments of him. I was never going to be a person that voted for Trump until the media went very radical. And rather than saying he's not qualified in 2016, they said that he was a rapist and a sexist and a misogynist. And for me, that seemed like an overkill.
That was a smear campaign. That was not, you know, what you're supposed to do when you're running against someone. You just try to start making up stuff to steer people away. And that's when you suspect that, wait a minute, this person must be a real threat. So maybe I should look more into that. And that's how they end up screwing themselves.
And I thought to myself, okay, he can't be all of these things magically. He's been in the public sphere for a very long time.
Exactly.
I began to sort of look beneath the surface and was shocked at what I found. I discovered that the mainstream media does routinely lie to us. In fact, not routinely, they are basically always lying to us to protect their own interests. So I was a vocal supporter of Trump, and I was hopeful that Black America could see through the lies that the mainstream media was putting upon them, trying to make us believe that he was a racist, and Brexit then came out of that. And so I'm very grateful for Donald Trump, and I'm very grateful that he was president of the United States. And I've been honored that I've been able to be on stage and honor him as the then president when he was the sitting president. Something toward the end of his presidency, I think, shifted, and it wasn't necessarily his fault first, and I stayed consistently. I really was the only in the beginning that thought that there was something fishy about the lockdowns. I vocally critiqued Trump and said that it was the wrong move for him as a sitting president to go through with a federal shutdown. Don't forget, he shut down. There was a federal shutdown for 2 weeks. And I understand that there was a lot of pressure on him. So I'm not saying this as, oh, how could he have possibly done this? When the entire world is telling you that there's a new virus and that virus can potentially kill everybody, which is what the mainstream media was saying, and that was being reinforced by Big Pharma and the quote unquote experts. It's very easy for me to sit back on my Twitter account, as I did, and say, do not shut down the government. Easier said than done when you're in that position, potentially dealing with the idea that a decision that you could make could lead to an incredible amount of human loss.
Absolutely. I'm glad she said that. I'm glad you said it. Easier said than done when you're in that position. All right. Now, but the critics, when you're in that position, when you're in any position and you're starting to hear, you hear the praise, and the praise is making you feel good, and it's making you feel like you can move forward. And the praise is like 90% of it. 90% of what you hear is praise. But that 10%, it's loud. That 10% of negativity is extremely loud. So you start to hyper focus on that. Next thing you know, that throws you off your game.
But I did say it, and I remember at the time I was talking to other conservatives. You know, we all know each other, prominent conservatives. And they would say, I really agree with you on this, but, you know, we have to stand by Trump's side at this time. And I sort of thought to myself, I agree with the sentiment of that. I agree that when one of us goes through something, it is good for us to be silent sometimes and to let it pass, because it's not easy being in the public space, especially as Donald Trump was as the president of the United States. But another element was like, wait a minute, I'm America first. And that's why I decided to speak out early, because the implications to me were that if Trump shut down the government for 2 weeks, if it was a Republican president that did that first, then when the left came into power, because of course Republicans were not going to have power forever, they would always be able to look back and say, well, you guys did it first. So now it is totally acceptable that the federal government is assuming the power and the right to shut down businesses.
I'll tell you one thing. If I had Candace's teeth, I would do all close-ups with my videos. I swear to goodness, I would not have a microphone in front of my face and everything. I will be, look at my teeth, everybody. Look at my teeth as I spit some game about politics. And I'm still going to talk my sugar honey iced tea. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If I had her teeth, y'all will be tired of me.
I do not believe that the federal government, or any government, by the way, ever has the right to tell us that we can get up in the morning and go out to work. That they ever have the right to shut down our businesses and to say that you don't have a right to earn a living. I am just so fundamentally opposed to that, and I spoke out against it.
Thank you. Can you please stop saying the word? Reason why I say that, guys, and I'm serious, and I don't know why, but the reason why I'm saying that is because one of my videos got a warning that's on my channel that will never come off unless I get another warning. Okay. And when you get these types of violations, as a content creator, it does not help your channel. All right. It doesn't help your brand. It doesn't help your platform that you're on the most. All right. And I know it definitely did some damage to mine, but that's neither here nor there. Just please stop saying the word.
I made myself an enemy of the vaccine campaign, which at the time, I was the only person doing that. Fast forward to this show and me having an opportunity to sit down with Trump in 2021, and I talked to him. about the vaccine. You know, I wanted to have this conversation with him and to see exactly what it was that he was thinking. And I want you to listen to that clip from our previous interview. Here it is. We see the corruption, right? It doesn't seem like anybody ever pays for the corruption.
Yeah.
And right now we're seeing corruption live, even in terms of big pharma, which is a huge topic on the minds of mothers, especially. You're seeing what's happening at these school board meetings. Where do you stand on these vaccine mandates? And obviously, I know that you are pro-vaccine. Obviously, you did everything you could to get this vaccine out. I know where you stand on the vaccine.
It was one of the greatest achievements. We did it in less than 9 months.
To be able to do that.
Yeah,
but now it's taken a twist, right? It's gotten, now we went from this is a good thing and people should have this option to military men, you're going to have to resign because you're not getting this vaccine. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I stand on, forget about the mandates, that people have to have their freedom, but at the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. We would have had in 1917, remember the Spanish flu, killed perhaps 100 million people. Actually, it ended the First World War because the soldiers a lot of people don't know that. The soldiers got so sick. It was a terrible thing. There were no vaccines. There was no anything. I came up with a vaccine, with 3 vaccines. All are very, very good. Came up with 3 of them in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 to 12 years.
And yet more people have died under COVID this year, by the way, under Joe Biden, than under you. And more people took the vaccine this year. So people are questioning how...
Well, no, the vaccine worked, but some people aren't taking it. The ones that get very sick and go to the hospital are the ones that don't take the vaccine.
I did not know that Trump was pro-vaccine. I did not know that. See, Van, you didn't pay attention enough to politics, so how could you know? You should have known because this was what everyone was talking about. But I did not know he was pro-vaccine. I mean, like this, because he's saying that the people who got the most sick are the people who did not take the vaccine. I did not know he said that. And I also didn't know that Candace never been jabbed. Have you? Have y'all been jabbed? You can, look, blink, just blink if you've been jabbed. Okay.
But it's still their choice. And if you take the vaccine, you're protected. Look, the results of the vaccine are very good. And if you do get it, it's a very minor form. People aren't dying when they take the vaccine.
So basically everything that he said there, and maybe he wasn't aware, was untrue. It was untrue to say that it was an effective vaccine. I understand he had some pride. He was the person that rushed this, right? But it wasn't true. And he was not listening to me try to give and present to him the sentiments of his own base.
Let me tell you something, Candace. You got some brass ones. That's all I'm gonna say. You got some brass ones. Oh my gracious, you got some brass ones. Sheesh. Ooh.
The base was feeling this way. The base was feeling like this vaccine was rushed. We don't know whether or not this vaccine works. We now know that it didn't work at all to make you immune. And why can't Trump understand that we are feeling that big pharma is taking over our country? Instead, he took an opportunity to say, but I gave you the vaccines and it's great because I gave it to you. So naturally, when this interview dropped, the regime media took a hold of it and said, even Trump says, go get your vaccine. Exactly what his base feared, right? Them trying to assert more power and more control. He just again endorsed, even though I gave him an opportunity to say, no, you know what? Everyone should have a right to decide what they want to do and maybe to add some clarity to the fact that he wasn't exactly sure, but he had to trust people. But nope, the regime seized on this moment and it went viral. So viral, in fact, that the then press secretary Jen Psaki tweeted, just going to echo former Trump here on the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. Merry Christmas Eve, go get boosted. So imagine that they're using Trump against his own base in that moment to say, go get your vaccines. Even your king, that was kind of her. She's being tongue in cheek here, obviously. Even your king says it's great and all of you guys are dumb if you don't get it. Naturally, having seen this, the Trump base was very upset. In fact, I started getting inundated. This was trending on Twitter at the time. I started getting inundated with people that were essentially saying to me, Candace, Trump has turned his back on us. Trump is now shilling for big pharma. Trump is probably getting kickbacks at one point, they were saying. He's probably getting kickbacks from Pfizer or Moderna. That's the only reason he would possibly be ignoring everyone that's speaking out and saying that they're being injured from the vaccine, people that are saying that they're going to lose their jobs, going to lose their livelihood. He has sold us out. And me being faithful to Trump, said, let me do a live Instagram to explain to them my honest sentiments about this interview. Because the truth is I do not think that Trump sold out his base for vaccines. I think that that's a ridiculous assessment. I thought that was a ridiculous assessment. And my honest, my truer belief was simply that for whatever reason, people from the older generation, everyone I spoke to, no matter how far red they were, deep red they were, about above the age of 60, they all just got their vaccines and said vaccines are great, right? And they're from a different time, right? Where I feel that the media successfully campaigned for that generation to believe that all vaccines are good, no matter how many of them that you get. I said this on my Instagram live. Here's what I said verbatim.
Hold on, before she pulls that video up. So they essentially used Trump's words as a weapon. They weaponized Trump's words, got more people out there to take the jab. All right. And now that she is sticking firm to her initial position, her position the entire time, shout out to her for that. Now we're here. Now there's an issue. Okay, so she's walking us through the entire thing. Okay, I'm with you. Hopefully y'all are still with me too.
And he believes that because he comes from a generation, like people, you oftentimes forget like how old Trump is. He comes from a generation. I've seen other people that are older have the exact same perspective. Like they came from a time before TV, before internet, before being able to conduct their independent research, you know, and everything that they read in a newspaper that was pitched to them, like they believed that that was a reality. And one of those things was, you know, this push for vaccines and believing that people were going to die without vaccines. And so I believe that his support of the vaccine is genuine and it's not based in any corruption at all. I think he actually believes those things. And people that are saying, how is he ignoring all the people that are being injured? And, you know, people are sending Rumble videos and all of these, you know, websites, obscure websites. I believe also that he only reads the mainstream media news. Believe it or not, I do not believe that Trump reads or partakes in any other news sources. You know, I don't believe that Trump is on the internet or, you know, that he necessarily uses like, you know, the web to try to find, you know, obscure websites. I think that he just relies on, you know, typical mainstream sources. So I don't think that there's anything evil going on there. I just wanted to say that because so many donors, supporters of his are kind of like questioning where all of this is coming from. And I think he just genuinely believes that. And he needs to sit down and, you know, have a full conversation with someone. I was interviewing him in that circumstance, but he needs to have a larger conversation to really understand what's going on and why so many people are just horrified.
Candace, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Sis, I'm gonna be honest with you. That right there, that bit of honesty that you're given paired with, you know, who Trump is and how much he believes he has the right people to his left and his right. And you're saying that he don't know where to find information, proper information. That right there could be taken as a slight. And if that was the reason why he attacked or said something that was unfavorable, or got upset with you, as your title says, I would understand that part because that says, you know, he's old, he don't surf the internet, he don't know, and he don't have anyone who does know, and he's being fed the wrong information. At least that's what I heard. Y'all let me know if that's what y'all heard, but I'm just saying that's it could come off that way to anyone who did watch your lives, and a lot of people watch your stuff.
So there it is. I gave my honest assessment there, and that was my attempt to defend him against people that believe that he had sold out, and I stand by that assessment. I believe that because Trump is 70 years old, he does not get his information from Reddit. He is not getting his information from sources that are not mainstreamed. And I know for a fact that there are people on his team that bring him the news headlines in the morning, which is totally normal. That's what happens when you're president. They try to highlight, there's a lot of news sources, and he goes through that and he accepts that as a narrative. So that's why you would see so many tweets of him hitting back at the New York Times, the Washington Post. He's actually getting these headlines so that he can respond to these headlines live. Nothing wrong with that, except there was something wrong with it apparently. Trump actually got upset with me because, and here's the great irony, the richest irony, the Daily Beast ran a headline regarding that live Instagram that you just heard from me. And the headline was, Candace Owens says Trump is pro-vax because he's too old to understand the internet.
Listen, Candace, listen. I can see why Daily Beast grabbed that. I mean, if I was on the opposite end, if I was the people who just had to feed people smut, if my job was to feed people smut and to attack people who are in certain positions whom I don't agree with particularly, guess what? That is something that someone could have gotten from what you said. You didn't say that, but it could come off that way. And I'm sure you're about to explain why it wasn't that way. And what you said did seem friendly from a person who understands who Candace is, because I have a better understanding of who you are. I have a better understanding of your relationship with Trump. And I also have a better understanding for your love for the country. So I know that you wouldn't do anything maliciously or say anything maliciously or intentionally malicious in order to hurt Trump or anyone in your base. All right. But you need to understand this, young lady. Sometimes what we say can come back and bite us in the ass. All right. And what you said, even before you read this, what you call it, what the Daily Beast says, Trump is pro-vax because he's too old to understand the internet. That's called clickbait. And as a content creator, you're very much aware of that, of what clickbait is. And you do know that you can take bits and pieces from what someone says, and as long as most of it is true, then you can post it and say, what? She said this. That means she believes he's pro-vax. And she says he's old and he's from the old times, and he probably don't get his news from anywhere but mainstream media, so he can't go on the internet and get his own. You didn't say that he can't go on the internet and get his own stuff. You said he depend on mainstream news for his information. And Daily Beast took that and ran with it. So sometimes silence is golden.
I never once called Trump too old. I never once said that Trump could not understand the internet. And yet somehow he got that information and believed it to be true. He thought that I said that he was too old and that he couldn't understand the internet and did not quite get the information that actually what I was saying was a defense of him so that his supporters would still believe in him. Not only was he just mad, by the way, he then, during a golf session with some mutual friends of ours, had a person next to him who was egging this on, saying to Trump, and I know this because, again, this is a mutual friend, aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? And eventually he was like, yeah, I'm so mad at Candace. I'm so mad at Candace. And this got back to me that he was upset with me, that he was angry at me. And the next time that I saw him, he was quite rude to me. He was actually rude to me. I'm telling you this personal story because I think it is something that made me, for the first time, question him as a person. So you have an individual that spent years defending you, right? And that individual gave you a completely kind and fair interview. You said something yourself that your base didn't like, and you somehow transformed that into something that I did wrong.
Also, I want to say whoever the hell that was egging him on, saying, aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? You're talking about somebody who's immature and just constantly trying to poke a bear. Poke a beehive. And the stinger came out. He was provoked. He might not have said anything. He might have let it just mull over. It's a lot to do with that. And as honest as you are and intelligent as you are, sometimes we allow people to, put us into a trap. Trump fell in the trap by whoever was saying, aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? And he went forward and he did what he does. He fought back, even though Candace didn't intentionally mean to hurt him, his feelings or his reputation. But whoever that was egging him on, that's a jerk right there. That's not a friend at all. That's not your friend. It's not Trump's friend. It's like, what's the point of that person even doing that? I don't get that part. Now, be careful what you say next, because this is how you start infighting, and this right here does not strengthen the base. It weakens the base. It causes people to pick sides. All right? And some people may believe that, like you saying, when with Trump being pro-vaccine, that people might start thinking that he's receiving kickbacks from Big Pharma. Well, when you publicly, let people know what's going on with Trump, and if you say anything too negative about the person that you once supported 100%, especially if what he said to you did not hurt you or your brand, but yet you're about to say something that could potentially hurt your relationship with him and his relationship with the base, it might come off as people are getting into your backyard and trying to separate you from MAGA and get you closer to whomever is going to be his replacement. Critical thinking is all that's the only place I'm coming from right now. I'm just coming from how it may look.
That's unacceptable. That is not being a leader. That is not owning things that you did wrong. That is not owning that you misunderstood something about your base. That's not growing. That's not developing. In fact, he should have tried to understand why the base was so upset with him, which would have led to the fact that his base is not pro-COVID vaccine. It's that simple. I understood that. I could have told him that. But at that moment, I realized that he's not listening. Who is this guy next to him trying to egg him on to be angry at me for trying to defend him?
Yeah.
To say that he's not a shill, to say, no, actually, I think that he genuinely does support the vaccines. He did genuinely support the vaccines. So all of this going on made me, again, question him if he was becoming too angry, which is to say that when Trump went into the election in 2016, he was having fun, right? He was naming people, giving them fun names, enjoying the base, having a good time. I would even say in 2020, you could feel the energy. It was electric. I think after the 2020 election, and because of the shock of all the things that happened and the answers that we never really feel that we got, this like sinking realization that we might be actually losing our country, I think that it pushed him into an angry space where he doesn't trust anybody.
For anybody who was here earlier in the video that's still here, I think I said something like that. And now I got my hands raised like a silly man who feel like he done scored a point because he was right. This is what idiots do. And I didn't score a point, but I'm just saying some people may use this right here to try to separate the base. That's all I'm saying. Some people may use this video right here. I mean, I'm thinking Young Turks might use it. Roland Martin might use it. MSNBC might use it. CNN might use it. Another Republican who's considering running for president in 2024 might use it. I'm just saying, it's just something that could be used against your own team, and this is what we need to be careful of, guys. We need to be careful of this. Understand, I get it. If someone gets upset with you and you have a brand to protect and you feel like you were wronged in some type of way, so you want to air them out publicly, listen, this is what we say we handle inside the family. You know what I mean? You handle that inside the family. Like you pulled You go out back and you duke it out. All right? That's what you do. Now, some of y'all might be looking at this like, dude, it's not that serious. This is not going to do anything to the brand. We're just as strong as ever. Hey, you might be. You very well might be. But I'm telling you what it comes off as. This is what it comes off as. Feel free to let me know whatever y'all want me to know about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside the Patreon as well, and our many playlists. And that's pretty much all I have, man. I love y'all. See you next time. Peace out.